I tell you the watermelon plants.
Hey Barb, it's Neil.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I thought you were supposed to be off.
No, that's the next meeting.
Oh, the next meeting. Are you taking over? Oh, so I should have emailed you.
Can you shut off the recording?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I do that? Let's see.
Meeting's not open yet though, right? Officially?
It is now. Why?
Oh, okay. I just had a question about Bright Farms. I haven't heard anything in a while and was just wondering if anybody knew what happened to that.
Yeah, I know it's still in the works, but we'll go over it in a few minutes.
All right, sounds great.
So hopefully, guys, this is the last time I'll be reading this. This is the COVID. Accordance to the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the sewer commission is being conducted remotely, is being recorded and can be found on the Lunenburg Access channel or on YouTube within 24 hours. As a preliminary matter, my name is Dave McDonald. I'm the chairman of the sewer commission. Today is June 8th, and we have our meeting tonight and going forward at 6 p.m. I'll be doing a roll call to confirm that all the members and persons participating on the meeting are present and they can hear me. And I call your name, just say yes. Brett Ransom,
Yes,
Mike Knoll,
Yes,
John Reynolds, and Mike Devakis have a prior engagement. We also have Rob Oliver, who won't be with us tonight. Barb,
Yes, here.
Jane, and Adam Costa.
Hi.
How you doing, Adam?
Good.
The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus, is currently following the guidance of the Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and the steps communities can take to prevent the spread of this virus. In accordance to the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, all public meetings are being conducted remotely in order. The order, which can be found and posted on the town website on COVID-19 Information Center page, accessed through the town manager's webpage, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not require or ensure public participation unless the participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the sewer commission is conveying a video via the Zoom app as posted on the town website, identifying how the public may join. So before we start, I'd just like to know, is there any comment from the public? Seeing none. Is there any public comment from the board? Brett?
I was curious to know if there has been any advancements in the Bright Farms situation.
Barb?
Not with this office. I haven't heard anything come through here.
I know they're still working on it from what I know, Bob, but Brett, but I'll have Bob look into it this week to see what's going on.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, you have anything?
nope, I haven't heard anything either.
The only public comment I have is I want to thank everybody that went through the intersection downtown on Friday to support the Salvation Army on the donut day give back. We had a lot of people come by and got donuts, and it was nice for the first responders to give back as you have to them during this pandemic. Barb, you have any announcements?
No, I just make it clear that this is the new start time for the sewer commission of 6 p.m. And then Heather's email that went townwide about having prior start times, we did confirm with her that we are good to go with 6 p.m. from here forward. So
One of the things I did talk to Heather today, Barb, is that starting the next meeting will be at the town hall, like we used to have back in the old days. Meeting after that, we'll be back at the DPW. And if someone feels uncomfortable about going into the conference room at the DPW, I told Heather that I don't think anyone will have a problem if we move it into the garage. Bob, what do you feel about that?
not so great.
I mean, if you had the other room or a bigger garage, which one would be better for you? I mean, we could talk about it, but I thought the garage would be much better than going to a little clashing with the TCP, but
Yeah.
we could still discuss it, but I thought the garage would be, we used to have our meetings there for the DPW thing. And we, of course, you move the trucks out, so I mean, you would have a whole big.
Right. And move all the chairs in. I will deal with it on a as needed basis, hopefully.
I mean, we have
I've
to,
got
we
the
have,
break room also that's got a little more space.
yeah, that's true too. Okay, so for appointments, our first appointment tonight is Adam Costa. I asked Adam to join us tonight. For one, we all know about the open meeting law policies that we have, but Adam is a real person. For those of you who haven't met him, this is what Adam looks like over here. So Adam, before we start, I just want to say thank you for taking the time. I know you have other meetings, but thank you for your support in the past with the sewer commission. You've been an asset to us, and I really appreciate it for what you do for us. So if anyone has any questions for Adam, we'll bring that up. And Adam, if you want to say a few words first, introduce yourself and a little bit of history for everybody, that would be great.
Sure. So thank you, Dave, and nice to meet the rest of you, at least virtually. It's the new normal, although as you just heard, we're getting away from it somewhat, and hopefully that's a trend in the right direction. And as we move through the summer, we'll be back to normal or some version of it by the fall. So my firm, Mead, Tellerman and Costa, was formed, about 5 years ago. Prior to that, I worked in a slightly different iteration of the firm, but whether it's the former iteration or the current iteration, we've been practicing municipal law for 15, 20 years, some of us for upwards of 25 years. My partner, Lisa Mead, who works here in my Newburyport office, is a former 3-term mayor in the city of Newburyport. My other partner, Jay Tallerman, who works out of our Millis office, is a former partner with KP Law, which is one of the largest law firms in municipal law firms in Massachusetts, and in fact, previously represented the town of Lunenburg. So we were brought on back in 2017. So hard to believe it's been about 4 years that we've been representing Lunenburg, and we provide general municipal guidance. You have separate labor counsel, you have separate tax title counsel, but everything other than labor and tax title eventually lands on my desk or on the desk of somebody in my office. So we work on a retainer or a flat fee basis, which is a bit unique to municipal law. It's something we developed a number of years ago and has become a bit of a hallmark of our practice, where we recognize that municipalities were cautious with the use of taxpayer money. Lawyers are not inexpensive, and even at our municipal rates, it adds up when every time you pick up the phone, it's 0.2, 0.3 hours, and you call me 5 times in a day, and you just racked up an hour's worth of legal fees. And over the course of a month, over the course of the year, that can add up. So the way that it works in the municipalities that we represent that have chosen our retainer model is we establish a set fee, and we do that based on an analysis of past expenditures by the town. We look at your finances, we look at what you've got in terms of litigation and the extent to which you rely upon counsel. And of course, we can vary that flat fee over the course of number of years of representing you. But I say all of this to tell you that we work at an established fee on a month-to-month basis. So whether you need to utilize legal services, 1 month for 2 or 3 hours, and that's all you require. You had a couple questions, you asked them through Barb, they got answered. Or in a particular month, you need me to attend a couple of meetings, and you need me to review a document or a couple of documents, work with you on a restructuring of a bylaw or regulations. Maybe that month it's not 1 or 2 or 3 hours, it's 5 or 10 or 15 hours. You, and by you I mean the town, is billed the same amount for that month as you would be any other. And the idea is that, as my partner Jay likes to say, some months, the bear eats us, and other months we eat the bear. And the idea is that over the course of a year, a couple of years, 3-4 years, it averages out, and we're making a good living, and you're able to rely upon legal counsel without being concerned that if you pick up the phone, you're going to incur a charge on the part of the town. So we found that with that model, we've been able to sort of get ahead of things. The municipal officials we work with, volunteers like yourselves on boards and commissions and committees, are less reluctant to reach out to council before they encounter a problem. And that's always what we prefer. You can call us before the question arises, or, and it'll cost you, an hour's worth of time, or you can call me, 2 weeks too late when you've been sued, and, we can spend the next 6 months trying to get out of the mess we got into. So that's our model. That's who we are as a firm. And we've enjoyed our time thus far in Lunenburg, and enjoyed our time working with the sewer commission, and, hope you'll take advantage and utilize our services when you need them. One last thing I'll say, and then I'll turn it back over to Dave, is we offer office hours. It's another sort of hallmark of our practice. On a monthly basis in Lunenburg, we provide office hours. Prior to COVID, we would do those office hours live. Through the course of the past year and a half, we've been conducting them through Zoom, much like this meeting. But effective end of June, we're going to be returning to the live format. We'll be doing those office hours in person. And all that is I come to town hall. I spend, better part of a day, half a day in town hall. You will receive, in your inboxes via email from Elaine Peterson, notice of when those office hours will be in a given month, and a link to a Doodle sign up. And you can utilize that sign up to choose a 15-minute or 20-minute slot when you can come in, sit down with me, ask any questions you might have. Again, you're always free, to coordinate direct communication, any day, any week when you might need to speak with council. You can coordinate that through the town manager, but the office hours are meant to be an opportunity for us to be face-to-face. I'm in town. If you got to lay out plans on a table and explain something to me, or throw 3 or 4 different documents at me at the same time, we found that there's a real benefit to being able to do that face-to-face, as opposed to trying to do it from, 50 or 100 miles away through an electronic format. It can be more difficult.
Thank you, Adam. Does anyone have any questions for Adam so far? Brett? Mike?
Nope, sounds good.
The reason why we do what we do on our commission, and Adam, I don't know if anyone else has done it, is that we're trying to run this as a business, obviously, and we have a new board, and we have no problem with anyone going to see Adam or any representative from this firm. The way our system is trying to do it, we're trying to do structure within our organization. As we know, Barbara is the manager of the sewer division, but Rob is also the superintendent. If they're the ones really running the business. Our job is to come up with policies and to assist the people actually doing the work. So I do expect Bob to go represent us on every occasion, actually. Now, there may be an occasion where I may have to go, or one of you guys may have to go to represent the committee. But I want to make it clear that you guys are always welcome to go. But when you go and talk matters that we're working on as a group, that's where I had issues last time. And Adam, that's why we changed some of our policies, because we work together. And Brett, as we said, Brett, you're in charge of XYZ project. I have no problem going to do that. But if we're working on a problem or a situation together, I do have a problem with someone going and saying, hey, I want to know what they're doing. And that's not really teamwork. And that's what we're trying to do here in our commission is work together. So that's where I stand on it. I know, Adam, we voted on that, as you're aware, what we did on our commission. It has nothing against you. It's just more of communication with our board. Because if someone's going to see you behind us or people's backs, it doesn't make a good working environment, I feel, anyways. So, Adam, do you have any questions for us? Or... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say one thing myself.
Sure.
I just wanted to say to Adam that that model that you folks have, I've yet to have a reason to meet with you folks directly, but being on the commission and seeing how things work and the model you have in place has been noticeably helpful. So it seems like a very good way to go. And we appreciate what you people bring to the table. Thanks for being there.
Appreciate that. And as I said, we've enjoyed the past 4 years working in Lunenburg, and we feel that there have been some improvements. There's been a significant decline in litigation in the town, which has been helpful. And I don't take full credit for that. I mean, you can't always control when you get sued, right? So it happens even despite your best efforts sometimes. But as I mentioned before, you can you can certainly control getting ahead of it and getting good advice. And, to Dave's point, the one downside I've seen, and it doesn't arise in every community and it doesn't arise with every board or commission or committee, but the one downside that exists with this concept of, an open door policy, office hours, communicating, we like to become part of the team. We like to become almost as if we're just another municipal official, another volunteer, another town employee. And you can confide in us and we can speak openly and you can get that. The downside to that, or the risk involved in that, is that often board members don't speak in one voice. You may have a 7-member board and you may have 4 members that feel one way about a particular topic or an item on the agenda and 3 members that feel a different way. And that's fine. That's what makes boards interesting, and that's what provides for educated discourse. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've got one member purporting to represent the commission or the board and has a question and brings that to me during an office hours session, and then 3 people later I'm meeting with another member of the board, unbeknownst to me, that they have a different opinion and they're asking a different question with a different slant, and then how do they report back to their board or commission? Do they report back with the full story that I gave them, or do they add their slant to it? So there's a little bit of a risk there that you're going to get mixed messages, or that something's going to be lost in translation purposely or not. So Dave's point is well taken. We had this discussion a while back. Your commission did. I was a part of it, at least online and whatnot. And it was decided that it made good sense to adopt a policy where you wouldn't have individual commissioners going off and consulting with counsel on their own unless they were acting, pursuant to the authorization of the commission as a whole.
I appreciate that. But I just want to make it clear that Brett, Mike, and John, and Mikey D, if they had any questions at all about anything about how the business runs, or if you do have a complaint about the board, Adam's door is always open. And if I'm not mistaken, Adam, that's pretty much correct what I'm saying, right?
That's correct.
So I encourage you to take an opportunity and maybe go see Adam, especially when we're live. It's kind of hard now because of the Zoom. Brett and Mike, I know you guys work, but in fact, Mike and I, we both had experience with Adam in the past. He's a good guy, and I got a lot of respect for him, which I usually don't say about lawyers. But Adam, you're a good guy, and I appreciate what you do for the Sewer Commission. So that being said, Barb, do you have any comments about what we're doing?
I just wanted to put in that there are council hours on June 17th and again July 21st. Elaine sends out the Google poll or Doodle poll, I guess. If anyone didn't get a copy of that link and wants to set up a time to meet with Adam, given the agreement of the full commission, let me know and I can forward it to you.
Now, I do have a feeling, looking at our agenda and looking at a couple of things on it, that I got a feeling we're going to be working with Adam pretty closely over the next month or so, which is good. So with that, Adam, I just want to thank you very much for showing tonight. I know you have another meeting you got to get to, and I think hopefully you're right on time on that. And Barbara is waving and she has her hand up. Go ahead, Barb.
Adam gave me the good news that he does not have to run out at 6:20 like we thought he would. So I do have one issue that is down on under the business managers section, because at the time we posted the agenda, it was not that hot of an issue, but I wanted to make you all aware of it. It's just become a hotter issue. 419 Whalum Road is a property that's for sale, and it was sold, or it's being sold as a property that has access to sewer. The betterment was assessed in 2008 and paid in full. So Adam and I have just recently been exchanging some emails to try to figure out how to proceed. Adam, do you want to, give us your take and what I can do or what we can do going forward?
Actually, Barb, I don't want to interrupt you, but I know, Adam, I know Rob, Barb and I were talking about the whole betterment issue in general. And this might be enough. Go ahead, Barb.
This is a different, I confuse these two. This is 419 Whalum Road, not associated with the extension request.
No. I'm talking about betterments in general. I was talking with Rob about looking at our whole betterment policy. I don't know if there's too many towns that have that. I think we're probably, well, Rob was saying maybe one or two of the towns in Massachusetts, but go ahead and continue, but this betterment thing is gonna be,
Oh,
we're gonna
I
be
think
talking
you-
about in the future.
Yeah, I think you mean easement.
Easement, betterment, yes. But
Okay.
isn't there an easement problem at this 419 too?
Yes,
So that's
but
why I'm bringing,
betterments are needed across the Commonwealth in order to help us pay back things. So we're not undoing the whole betterment plan.
no,
But
no,
this is it would have to be a connection via easement. Their property is up a paper road off of Whalum, but their address is 419 Whalum.
yes,
So
but
it
that's
is
what,
an easement.
that's
And yes,
what we're talking about, the easement policy. Okay, now you go ahead. No, I get nervous. Go ahead.
So yeah, easements, Dave, have been a hot topic in Lunenburg, in fact, predating me. And the reason that I became aware of the issue and became aware of it relatively quickly after we were appointed as council is because you had been, and by you, I mean the town, had been embroiled in litigation for a number of years with a particular property owner. In fact, there were 2 rounds of litigation, 2 separate lawsuits filed. The first was for a particular subdivision proposal. It was actually an A&R proposal and a sewer connection. There was litigation that resulted from certain actions undertaken by the town or inactions. That case was litigated to the appeals court. The town won that appeals court case. This all predates me. The owner modified the plans, attempted to pursue the modified plan, was unsuccessful, appealed that. The town was successful in the trial court. That was appealed to the appeals court again. And then you changed legal counsel. So I got handed or delivered to my office 2 boxes of files over the course of, a period of 6 or 7 or 8 years, 9 years, maybe, in the Cronin case. And ultimately I handled the appeal of the second case successfully. But really what the issue at the crux of that second lawsuit was whether or not you could utilize an easement area for purposes of a sewer connection. And the design and redesign of this A&R had been done, in an effort to try and gain sewer access first through an easement and then through fee interest in the property. So anyway, the issue predates me. In fact, ironically, one of the associates at my firm, Brian Winter, who was previously with KP Law, had worked for Lunenburg when he was with KP Law, when you used KP Law as your legal counsel on this very issue. So when we hired him a few years later, we sort of had a few chuckles about the challenges of sewer easements in Lunenburg. So it is an issue that goes back many years. It is an issue that, in my experience anyway, is unique to Lunenburg. And it doesn't mean that there aren't any other communities that have it. Maybe there are a couple of others, but I've not seen it elsewhere. The fact that there is this express outright prohibition on utilizing an easement for purposes of a sewer connection. So anyway, be that as it may, this 419 Whalum Road property, there is an easement component, although that's not the direct question, at least that was asked of me. What I got from Barb were 3 documents. I got a copy of the deed by which Ms. Dufresne acquired from 2 other individuals. I don't know if they're her parents or grandparents, but they had the same last name. Maybe they're neither, but she acquired a property that has a meets and bounds description. It's a property that on your assessor's map would appear to be fully landlocked. It's close to Whalum Road, but doesn't have frontage on Whalum Road. But there's a parcel of property that looks an awful lot on your assessor's map like it's a roadway. It's a long, narrow parcel that is perpendicular to Whalum Road. When it meets Whalum Road, it has the curvature, the curvature radius on either side, suggesting that it's meant to be, or at some point was meant to be a roadway. But it dead ends pretty quickly. In fact, it passes this 419 Whalum Road property and then dead ends, according to your assessor's map. When you look at the deed to the property provides a meets and bounds description, and it describes the property as running along one side by Prosperity Street. And when you find the Registry of Deeds plan that dates back, and I've got it open here on my screen still, the date on the plan is 1927 plan of record for the subdivision known as Whalum Lake Manor. Looks like it consisted of a couple hundred lots, maybe more. There was a roadway called Prosperity Street that ran from what is now Whalum all the way up to what was then known as Crest Avenue. And Prosperity Street shown on this plan. And it would appear, comparing this to the assessor's map, that this parcel that runs along the side of 419 Whalum Road, that has the curvature where it meets Whalum Road, is a piece of what was on this 1927 plan as Prosperity Street. But apparently it was never developed as a roadway or constructed on the ground as a roadway. It was, to my knowledge, although I've not done any research of this point, I asked Barb the question, just a half an hour ago before the meeting got started, is there anything in the town's records to indicate that it was ever accepted as a public way? I presume not. It's not constructed on the ground. So, what was intended to be a private way never was built. And so the question now is, does the property owner have the ability, with no frontage on Whalum Road, no frontage on the roadway through which sewer runs, nevertheless was assessed a betterment, over a decade ago? Does that property owner have the right to connect to sewer? If that property owner had frontage on a public way, the answer would be yes. But I cross-referenced all of what I just described to you with your sewer bylaw, and your sewer bylaw section 3.0, which is entitled Connection Eligibility, has a number of paragraphs, one of which is what we were just discussing, this restriction on easements. But maybe more importantly, it says develop parcels of land or portions of parcels of land located within the sewer service zone that abut a public way in which a sewer has been laid shall be eligible to connect to existing buildings, or to connect existing buildings to the sanitary sewer. It then goes on to say any undeveloped single-family lot, any undeveloped commercial or industrial lot, or any undeveloped parcel of land created out of a pre-existing developed lot, provided it has at least 50 feet of frontage along the sewered way located within the sewer district, and provided it conforms to the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, is also eligible to connect. And then finally, the third provision says sewer connection shall be located entirely in the property they serve. The connection must enter the property directly from the public way in which the sewer is located. So the way that I read all these provisions, and I haven't gone any deeper into it than this, the reference in the first paragraph is to a public way. The reference in the second paragraph is to a sewered way. The reference in the third paragraph is to a public way. There is nothing that indicates that if you happen to have frontage along a private way, that you have the right to carry or extend the sewer from some adjacent nearby public way up the private way to connect the residence that only has frontage on the private way. So, as I read it, I'm not certain why this property would have ever been bettered, assessed a betterment, because it doesn't appear to me under your current bylaw that it would be eligible. Now, Barb suggested to me in some back and forth we had today that it may have to do with the timing of the bylaw, that some of these provisions may not have existed at the time that the betterment was assessed. And if that's the case, then that would explain some of the rationale. But the challenge with general bylaws is that general bylaws have retroactive effect. So when you adopt a zoning bylaw, and I don't know how much any of you know about zoning laws, but you probably heard of this concept of grandfathered use or a grandfathered structure. When you adopt a zoning bylaw, it's never retroactive. If I have a home and it's on a half-acre lot, and tomorrow town meeting decides to rezone my property to require, in my entire neighborhood, to require 1 acre lots, I don't have to tear my house down the day after tomorrow. I'm grandfathered. I'm protected. I'm a pre-existing non-conforming structure or pre-existing non-conforming lot. That concept doesn't exist outside of the zoning context. So general bylaws are retroactive. They can be applied retroactively. They are to be applied retroactively. So I have some concern here about the ability of this property to connect. Of course, the flip side is that they've been assessed a betterment. So, you may remember, Dave, and I don't know if any of the others of you do. I can't recall who was on the commission, whether Mike or Brett, you were on the commission at the time, but we had this discussion not long before COVID in the context of Michael Ray Jeffries' property. And the question of when you've paid a betterment or a substantial portion of a betterment, you've paid for a benefit that you're now being deprived. And you go into court and get in front of any judge, tell the judge, hey, I paid a betterment of $3,000, $5,000. I've got another grand or $2,000 to go, and now I'm being told I can't connect. It's going to be a tough sell for the town to say, well, sorry, you lost that $5,000 and you've received nothing in exchange for it. So there is an equitable piece to this too. I read your bylaw to say this property is likely ineligible to connect to sewer, but they were assessed a betterment a decade ago. They've been paying it ever since, and to refuse them the right to connect now could potentially result in some future claims being made against the town or the commission. So that's about as much as I can say today. But I do think the discussion needs to continue.
I agree. I think we gotta, again, hopefully kill two birds with one stone. Look at our policies for easements and let's try to get this house steward to it. Now, I did go down and see the property. Mike, I think you went and saw the property too.
I've seen the property, yeah.
There is a driveway. Look, we thought it was a driveway, but it could be a road and it was paved if I remember right. But one thing I didn't look at was the lot lines as far as where the stakes are. I mean, I don't know if that's a piece of property or originally back in 1927, did it go to Whalen Road? So, I mean, that's a question because it looks like it, I would say a road, but it looks like a driveway too, Mike. Didn't you think it was a driveway?
To me, it looked more like a right of way that was coming across the front to get to the other house. But
Yeah.
hard to tell.
So I guess we're gonna be working on this soon, but the house is on the market and it hasn't been sold already. So we'd like to get an answer on that, I think, Barb, don't you think? And which one?
Yeah, I've got very hot people anxious for an answer because they put in an offer, but they need to know if it is actually able to connect to sewers.
And I don't know the condition of their existing septic system now. So yeah, I think we have to get an answer on this. So what do you think we can do with this, Adam?
Well, I mean, the challenge is really that based upon what I know now, and I don't want to suggest that I have all the information, maybe there's more. None of this has been presented yet to the property owner. I've just exchanged emails with Barb today. But based on what I know now, the answer is that the parcel is not eligible to connect to sewer unless and until you amend your sewer bylaw. Again, and we had this similar conversation with Michael Ray Jeffries, there would be a possibility that you could negotiate something through a court process where you would give, you would enter into an agreement for judgment, recognizing that there's a betterment that's been paid, and therefore, as a matter of equity, allowing for the connection. But you don't even have the authority, as I recall, under your bylaw, to waive this provision. And similarly, the statement, I didn't continue to read the third paragraph. The third paragraph, after it refers to the connection must enter the property directly from the public way in which the sewer is located, it goes on to say, no connection shall be allowed via an easement. A sewer line must remain within the parcel that it serves. So, if we were forward looking, if we didn't have a crisis on our hands with a property owner that wants to sell and wants a definitive answer, and you were saying we want to have the flexibility in the future, you could do it a few different ways. You could either eliminate those last two sentences altogether, or restructure them to say, a connection may be allowed via easement with advance written approval from the commission to give you the ability to allow on a case-by-case basis connections via easement. You could adopt a waiver provision that gave you the express authority to waive certain provisions in the bylaw. But all of those actions require town meeting votes. I mean, this is your bylaw, not your regulation. So you've got to propose something, get it before town meeting. The soonest that could happen would be in the fall.
So I guess the question would be, what if that property was owned by the owner of the house where the street is? What are the odds of that?
Yeah, so there's an argument to be made here, and that's why I sort of say, it's not the role, and I say this carefully and respectfully, and I know that all of you appreciate it. It's not my role as town council, and it shouldn't be politically or otherwise, to make or advance arguments on behalf of a private property owner to be persuasive. I give objective opinions as requested by the town, or in certain instances, I advocate for the town's position. Sometimes what makes sense is expressing an opinion like what I provided to Barb, to the property owner. Listen, here's what we say, and waiting to see if the property owner can come back with something. Maybe the property owner itself or through its counsel can make a persuasive argument without going too far in that direction. But responding to what you just said, Dave, if that parcel that appears to be the roadway, appears to be what was once intended to be Prosperity Street, if that parcel is owned by Ms. Dufresne, or maybe she can argue that she has enough of an interest in it, because it does say within her deed that she has, together with all of her neighbors, what's the exact language here? I've got the document open. It says, said premises are hereby conveyed together with the fee. The fee is a legal term meaning the actual physical legal interest of the ownership of the earth, with the fee in all streets and ways on the plan above referred to, in common with the owners of other lots and subject to rights and streets. So maybe an argument could be made, particularly if she were able to get the acquiescence of anybody else that had an ownership interest in the street that had similar language in their deed. So presumably her immediate neighbors at a minimum, that they were okay with doing this. Maybe an argument could be made then by her that she does own a parcel that has frontage on Whalum Road. And that parcel is what was meant to be Prosperity Street. And therefore she can place the sewer line within that property. It's still, it's still a little contradictory to that last sentence in your bylaw. A sewer line must remain with the parcel that it serves. The road is a separate parcel from the building lot, the house lot. There's no question about that. It's reflected that way on the 1927 plan. It's reflected that way in the assessor's records. But maybe some sort of a persuasive argument can be made. Again, I would encourage the commission to be flexible, to think a bit outside the box, given the position that you're in, where there was a betterment assessed. And so short of refunding the betterment that's been paid, you're sort of in a position where if you double down on, hey, listen, our bylaw says what it says, tough luck for you, you might get sued.
I think I look at two things that we have. We have our laws today, and you're right about our policies. I mean, we can't change them until town meeting. But in the meantime, we can learn from this and see what we can do to help a customer within the boundaries of what we have. But I agree, Brett, I know you have a question there. What's your question, Brett? Brett, your speaker's off. Can you turn the volume, Brett?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that. I had no idea I was muted. In any event, if I understand Adam correctly, arguably could be looked at from some of that wording he just mentioned. It's actually more of a common way as opposed to a what's that other word? Not betterment. Easement. Thank you. So if this could be considered a common way, that wouldn't contradict our bylaws. Would that be correct? And number two, they've been paying a betterment. I'd like to see them to have access if they've been paying a betterment. Number three, this question is for you, Adam. Maybe I don't remember quite correctly, but I thought we left the situation with Michael Ray Jeffries as that down the road, should they want to repay the remaining available betterment, that he would have the ability to go across their access, which was that word again.
Easement.
Oh my God. Easement. as I understand, we gave him the okay to go across that easement down the road in the future. Was that what happened? Because that's how I took it last year.
So I'm trying to pull up that agreement because that was not I don't know how we would have done that because your bylaw is pretty clear that you can't utilize an easement. I think if I remember correctly, it wasn't completely an easement, but bear with me here. I'm just pulling up the.
Brett,
It might have been,
I remember that we voted to stop his fees, stop paying his betterment, and let it go at that. And if we can ever work a way to get the easement squared away in the future, he would pick up at that point. But he stopped paying for his betterments at that point because he can't get sewer.
Correct. Yeah, I think we were careful not to say, because we couldn't, that he had the ability to connect through an easement.
yeah, that if
So-
in the future there was a way that he could do it. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, obviously, in the future, you can't commit yourself now or restrict yourself now from doing what might be allowed in the future. But to your first point, Brett, because I think it's important. So there's a distinction here. The question that was asked of me, and this is why I say that there may be other arguments. I answered the question that was asked of me: can they connect to sewer in Whalum Road? And the answer is, based on my read of the bylaw, pretty straightforward. Your bylaw is, I mean, it's the plain language. The answer is no. But you have separate sections. You have section 3.0 of your bylaw addresses connection eligibility. Section 4.0 of your bylaw addresses sewer extensions. Sewer extensions are different than connecting to an existing sewer that lies within a public way. So what could potentially be argued, and again, I'm a little hesitant to try to make an argument on behalf of the property owner, but I understand that the commission is attempting to work with the property owner to find a resolution. The property owner could argue that, no, they have no right, for better or for worse, as a result of the language in your bylaw, to connect to the existing sewer in Whalum Road, because they don't have frontage on a public way that is served by sewer. They don't have frontage on Whalum Road. They'd have to get there by way of an easement. You don't allow them to get there by way of an easement. But if they then looked at section 4.0 sewer extensions, they can say, well, wait a second. Don't we have the authority to extend the sewer up this roadway or parcel that was once intended to be a roadway, Prosperity Street, in which they have a legal right to do it? I'm confident, based upon the language of their deed, presuming there's nothing later in the title that says otherwise, I'm confident that when you buy property on a private road and you have a vested interest in that roadway that is stated in your deed, you have the right to lay utilities in the roadway. You have a right to improve the roadway for access, to pave it or whatnot. So they have a legal right to, presumably, to be able to lay a sewer extension within Prosperity Street, or what was meant to be Prosperity Street. Could they then extend the sewer up Prosperity Street and then connect to that sewer extension from there? That's a possibility. Would Prosperity Street then need to be made public? Don't know the answer to that. Don't know how you've dealt previously with sewer extensions in private ways, if you've ever done that.
Well, it sounds like something that Rob can look into as far as Prosperity Street and who owns it, and does the town own it right now? Because if the town owns it, we might be able to do something. It sounds like a town might own this property more than anybody else.
If the town owns it, then that's great. I mean, I would be surprised, because typically there'd be something. The deed indicated an expectation that that this was a private subdivision with private subdivision roadways, and the fee was granted to all the individual property owners. When a developer, and of course this was back in 1927, in these days when a developer develops a subdivision and intends that the town's going to own the roadways, the developer retains the fee interest in the roadways, conveys away all the lots, and then still owns the road, conveys the road to the town. In this instance, the deed suggests that no, you get the lot, but you also have an interest in a fee interest in Prosperity Street and all the other surrounding roadways. So there would need to be some later conveyance or some taking by the town of the roadways, explicitly including Prosperity Street. Maybe it's out there. I haven't done any title research. Maybe the landowner has done that research and knows the status of Prosperity Street and who owns the fee interest. I think you're right. If the town owns it, that makes this much simpler.
Right. And that's probably when they go for a title search, I wonder what they'll find, the realtor's attorney. They may find it on the title search, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it depends upon how extensive the title search is. I mean, the challenge is when you run a standard title for a conveyance, if you're going to buy a single family home and your attorney runs title, it's a 50-year title. They go back 50 years. They look at the four corners of your property. That's it. They don't look at adjacent roadways. They don't go beyond 50 years typically. We got to go back here to the 20s or 30s or 40s, which at this point is more than 50 years. So it's not rocket science. I mean, the registry records say what they say. There's an answer out there somewhere. It's just that somebody needs to do the work to find it. And maybe that's something that the property owner has done to some extent. Maybe it's something they will do, but that's a conversation to be had.
Very good. So Bob, do you have any other questions?
Just want to clarify, just that the owners have paid the betterment in full. It was paid before it was recorded as a lien on the property. So the betterment has already been paid back in 2008.
Completely paid.
Completely, $11,551 was paid.
Oh, but no, you can't attach to our sewer line.
Right. So the option that's out there, and it's not, I hesitate to even offer it as your lawyer. The option that's out there is you let them connect. Let somebody challenge you, right? I mean, particularly if you're going to consider revisions to your bylaw, amendments to your bylaw in the future that would allow something like this to occur. You let them connect, and somebody that believes that they're aggrieved by that would have to then sue you. Much like if you don't let them connect, you may get sued by the property owner. So if the sense is, we need to do the right thing here, we assess them a betterment, or we need to permit them to connect. You permit them to connect, and you wait for someone to challenge you. It's that person's going to have to be somebody who wants to spend the money on a lawsuit, and somebody who can establish that they are aggrieved and have legal standing to challenge the connection. And that's going to be a tough thing for any resident to establish. So that's a possibility too.
I appreciate that. Again, we're trying to help our customers out on the sewer system right now. We're in the sewer. And I think most of us are business people who feel the same way what you just said. But on the other hand, I still really would like to have us look at the easement policy, and that we're working on it, because how many customers are out there that we're not serving because of our easement? And that always bothers me. But that would be my recommendation. Go ahead, Brett. Good question.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Dave, on that. And on that note, Adam, you mentioned earlier that this was primarily just a Lunenburg thing you've seen. Are you telling me that most towns don't have a problem with easement connections? Out of curiosity.
Right. So I've not seen this language, this express language that says no connection shall be allowed via easement. I've particularly where you control the sewer service area. So thinking about the rationale behind it, you dictate which properties are subject to or will have made available to them sewer service, because you dictated originally the sewer service area, and by you, obviously, I mean your commission, but then with a town meeting vote, and future adjustments to that sewer service area require future town meeting votes. So I think the general perspective is, whether it's a connection through, directly from the lot or by way of an easement over a neighbor's property, if you don't want properties that are situated too far back off the road to connect, to sewer, then, don't include those properties within the district. Now, I realize when you've got larger, if you're trying to structure the district so it follows existing boundary lines and there's potential for future subdivision or A&R division of these lots, that creates potential for, additional lots that would be situated without frontage on the roadway through which the sewer runs, and then a claim that those properties can each connect via easement. But, you have to sort of do an analysis of how many properties within your sewer service area, really create a potential for that risk. And we began having that discussion. I don't think we ever did the analysis, but I recall one of your former commissioners had looked and said, there are X number of properties that are could potentially connect by way of an easement or are within the sewer service area, but as they currently stand without further subdivision, would be unable to connect, but could connect if there were an easement. So, how big of a problem is this, I guess, is sort of my practical advice. The fact that I don't see it in a lot of other communities tells me that it's not that big of a problem and that there's probably a better way to deal with it.
Thank you. And yeah, I appreciate that. It seems to me this is already twice this issue has come up and I haven't been a commissioner very long. I think this should be corrected.
And Brett,
Looking forward.
you asked some good questions, and Adam, I really like your spunk. That's what this commission is trying to do, is help our customers. So, Barbara, why don't you bring this back to Rob and let's talk about it and bring it up on our next meeting and see what we can do. But in the meantime, I'm hoping that if somebody talks to the homeowner or the potential buyer, that if they're doing a title search, maybe tell their attorney to do that extra mile and go back a few more years. You'll probably find some good news there. It's worth the extra money.
It is.
But it couldn't have been much of a big street because it's right now, I would think it's maybe as wide as the property, 50 feet, if that. Mike, how long do you think that road was?
Well, it's got the look of it. They started the development and it went nowhere. So I believe
Yeah.
2 properties done. So
Yeah.
Prosperity Street original layout in 1927 was 40 feet in width. What in the lot as it exists now is presumably the same width.
Yeah.
How it looks on the ground, what's constructed, what's passable is probably not 40 feet, but that's what was meant to be created or what exists on paper, back in 100 years ago.
Okay. Bob, do you have any other questions?
No, I believe the owners are coming in tomorrow to discuss it. I'll let them know generally what was discussed here.
Okay, and Adam's available if you need him for the buyers and stuff. Adam, you can help her out if she needs some support.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is exciting. So this is good. Any other questions for Adam? Mike?
no, I just like to say I'm, in favor of trying to do something for this property, just however it is.
Brett, do you have anything?
I just want to thank Adam for his time, and I believe his timing for being at our meeting was pretty perfect, and it's appreciated.
Well, Adam, we're gonna have to do it again because I know Mike, who couldn't make it tonight, was dying to meet you. And I know John always enjoys talking to you. So again, I just want to thank you. And if you have any last words for us, that'd be good.
No, I've got nothing further. Again, feel free to reach out to me, with commission approval if you need it. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I don't think there's anything in your policy concerning access to counsel that says if you've got questions that are really unrelated to substantive matters pending before the commission, if you have a concern about a potential conflict of interest because of your status as an abutter, or you've got an open meeting law question generally, I don't think there's anything that would prevent you from attending office hours and asking that question even without advance approval from the commission if it's not substantive and something that's within the commission's jurisdiction. So presuming I'm not mistaken in that, my policy is an open door policy, so feel free to reach out as you need to.
No, even before we did that, that's always been the policy on ours, is that if anyone has any questions, or if anyone has any questions about this easement policy or this easement law, you want to learn some more information about it. Like I say, I know I don't have a problem with it. The only thing we ask is just let Barbara know or let the commission know that you're going to go see, and that's the only thing that we've asked. It wasn't like you can't talk to Adam. It's more like let's do it together. That's all. And you know what we're doing, Adam. So, and I appreciate that.
Great. All right, thank you all.
Thanks.
Have a good night. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Good night now.
Okay, Barbara. Before we move on, any questions on that? I thought that was pretty good. So, like I say, let's make our customers priority. Barb, Elizabeth Street.
Yep, Rob was gonna give an update on it. It's just, we're waiting on getting onto the vendor schedule. And it looked as if the quote was around 6,500, so not as bad as originally thought. So that should be happening soon, but we don't know when we'll get it on the schedule. We will encumber the monies though for FY21, since it's already been basically agreed upon. So just so you know, nothing yet to be updated.
Okay. CTE contract extension.
I worked with council on the contract for year 2 for CTE, and I sent you out what he has approved. And as long as you're okay with it, I will send it off to CTE for their review. If it comes back with any changes, council's asked to review it, of course. But as far as you're concerned, I just want to make sure you're okay if I send that draft over to CTE.
Did everybody see the draft? Mike?
Yes, I saw it. Yeah, no,
Any questions on it? It looked good to me.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Is this for another 1-year extension or is it a 2-year extension?
No, it is done as an extension, and that's how it was, just renewable for 2 additional years. So that's one thing council changed it to mention that it isn't an extension,
Is
but just for 1 year.
is Chad waiting for this contract? He knows it's coming, correct?
Yes, yep. And I had sent what we'd changed so far to him, so he's aware. The other item that will need to be done is the bond will need to be increased for a full year now. It's supposed to be 50% of the value, so we will need to get the bond in place as well.
He's
So I'll
aware.
let them know.
Yeah, okay. When's this contract expire?
It is June 30th, so.
Okay, good.
We're trying to get it in there.
Guess
I
it's time to get it to him.
Yeah, he's got it. So he's a good guy. We like Chad. We also start thinking about maybe having another meeting with him in the next quarter. What's in his contract for meetings? Is it 2-year or?
I don't remember, as needed or as requested.
I mean, it'd be nice to see him once in a while, but maybe not now. Let's get through the summer. Maybe in the fall, we can sit down and talk to him. Unless, Mike, Brett, you have any opinion on that? To meet Chad and Al?
no, I'm good. I'm good.
They're
Nice to see Al.
They're still communicating with Rob, right? The communication is still
Yes,
going good.
very weekly.
Hey, Howard Street, 40B.
or often.
Any work? So it was my
Howard
work.
Street, I've had no updates. It was just requested from the last meeting that it appear on the agenda again in case there were any items. And as I said before, council hours are June 17th. This is one of the items I would like to discuss. Whether because the property would be outside the sewer service area, if that would still need town meeting approval, that kind of thing. And also the Leominster Fitchburg IMAs, taking those into consideration, how you deal with 40B. So both of those items I will address with Adam on the 17th.
Now, this is a meeting that, Brett, I know you have a lot of interest in this. If you want to join and sit in and learn about some of this 40B, I don't think that would be a problem. Would that be a problem with you, Brett?
Nope, I have other things on my list for it, but
But I
and
mean,
Brett can sign up for his own. I mean, he can sign up for his own. It's just 20 minutes, so it goes quick.
but if any of you guys want to go learn a little bit about 40B, there's a good example, or if you want to send a rep in to talk about it. I just know, Brett, you're interested in that stuff, and it's a good opportunity to learn a little bit. And you can bring what you learned back to the commission. But I don't have a problem with that. Mike, would you have a problem with that?
No, good.
What time is that meeting, Barb? On the 17th?
It's during the day, 12:30 through 4:30. The hour, he has 20-minute appointments. I can forward you the link if you want.
No, I meant when the meeting that you're having with them
That,
is
Brett-
happening.
oh,
Do you know what time? That's my question.
I'll let you know. It's
Yeah, that'd be
get my-
great.
yeah,
It's a Zoom anyway,
correct.
correct?
This month will be, yeah, after that, it'll be live in the town hall.
That actually makes it more helpful in this situation for me at this time.
I'm gonna miss about Zoom. It's a lot easier to pop in and pop out, you know.
Well, yeah. Jump in the truck, have the meeting, jump back out.
Okay, Bob, Fitchburg Sewer ordinance, laws, policy.
I've been in communication with Jeff Morosky from Fitchburg, and have promised that I will get him the information by end of the week. It's been busy, as you can tell.
Okay.
Brett,
that?
my time slot with council is 1:30.
Okay, great.
To 1:50.
If, let's touch base that morning. If you want to shoot out a quick email and a link, that'd be great.
Okay,
Not to hold anyone down, but if you want to take the next 20 minutes after and recap with Adam and Barb, if you want to go from, you guys can share the time. So if you take up some time on Barb's, she can finish up. You know what I'm
I'll
saying?
probably just hang back and listen for the most part, and if I have a quick question. But thank you.
okay.
We talked about Fitchburg. We're all set with Fitchburg.
Yep.
Fourth quarter, 2021.
Commitment. Yep, the billing was finalized. You've all seen these before, and pretty soon you'll be able to sign a whole bunch of them that have been waiting for in-person meetings. Our Q4 billing was sent out on May 21st, and so the commitment is also dated May 21st. And the amount is $237,564.46. And basically, I just need to know that you've approved it, then I can let the collectors and the accountant know that the commitment and warrant were approved.
Do you want to vote on that now?
Sure.
So I'm looking for a motion to accept the $237,564 commitment.
So motioned.
Second,
I'll second that.
a roll call vote. Mike,
Yes,
Brett?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. So, hey, Bob.
Okay. The minutes of 5:25 were presented in
Yep.
your packages. Just need your approval of
Looking for
those.
a motion to approve the 5:25 minutes. Mike, was Mike here on that one? Jane, was Mike?
Yeah.
on?
He was.
I was here.
Yes, he is.
Okay, looking for a motion to accept the minutes for 5:25.
I'll make a
I'll
motion to
move it.
accept the minutes from 5:25.
And I'll second that.
No discussion. All in favor, Mike?
Aye.
Aye.
And I for myself. Business reports.
All right. Just running through a couple of things. We were able to jet Mass Ave, June 1st and 2nd. Based on Rob's and Al's recommendation, they wanted to do the length of Mass Ave, and that has been complete, along with the trouble areas like Town Hall. I think that was it. So part of the maintenance plan is that we want to jet certain areas of town regularly, and this was the beginning. This was a longer length than we've done before on Mass Ave. So, and I haven't heard any negative reports from that jetting.
Good question. We jetted the whole Mass Ave from where to where?
I believe it was the Fitchburg, from the Fitchburg line up through the Walmart Hill.
Yeah.
And then from the public safety up to the town center.
Okay. Was there any problems found at 1 Main Street? Do we know? How's that going up there? 1 Main Street is the intersection where the pizza place is. and is
Yeah.
there any
Nope.
problems there?
But that's the one area that, because it is a start of another line that when it goes down to Oak Ave, they always jet, and it's more the town hall that seems to, be the root of the problem, but that area is always done whenever there's jetting. Jack started that, and anytime a jetter comes in, he likes that one Main Street area jetted.
That's great. So Rob, thank you on our part. Congratulations. That's a big job. Good job. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. And then we just have a Mead Tollerman bill for $1,048.04. We're approaching, let me just see what we've got. Yeah. We will not have his bill for coming tonight, and prior to this, we were at 4,900. So usually, or we have had a budget of 5,000. So we will be close to the budgeted amount, but probably a little bit over. We don't have a chance or a choice to say yes or no. This is the billing based on the hours that Mead Tollerman has worked with all commissions and boards and departments throughout the month. So they're just letting us know. We had a total of 4.3 hours for $1,048. So just so you know.
Okay.
Okay. I did send very late, I apologize, but it's been busy. The year-to-date budget for FY21 at this time, and the line items have been updated on expenses that we expect to come. So it's a fairly accurate depiction of how we'll look by the end of the year. We'll have a few more, miscellaneous invoices to come, but the ones that we know about coming are reflected here. We've got revenues of $1,178,860 year to date, and expenses $948,275 basically year to date. So still looking good for the end of the year, and we're 2 weeks from it. So
Has anybody, Bob, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to see it. I know I got the email, but I didn't look at it. Anybody see the budget?
No, I didn't see it.
You can look at it now, but we are in good shape on it. So thank you to you guys for that.
I can put it also on, I'll put it on the 629 agenda. 5 Chestnut Street, I was asked to get official council opinion on Paula Bertram's question from an April meeting, and whether when the commission approves the expansion of the sewer system, does that automatically allow an applicant, a greater amount of usage? And council has responded with a wordy opinion, and I will, as long as everybody's okay, if you've read it, I will forward it on to Paula and Adam and Heather as previously requested.
Guys, that was the meeting we had regarding 5 Chestnut. I think Brett, you were there, Mike, you weren't there. But you did get the opinion from our attorneys on it. It's in your package. And I asked to send that to Paula because Paula requested it at a public meeting. So that will fulfill our obligation with Paula, with Ms. Bertram, what she wanted from the planning board.
Okay. Then I had 419 Whalum Road, which was discussed while we had council here. Just wanted to let you know that there is a ZBA hearing tomorrow night via Zoom regarding 82 Laurel Lane, and they are a sewer customer. They have been connected. They have been inactive for a long while, and the intent is to demo 2 dwellings and build a new dwelling. So I don't think we have any issue with it. They are a sewer customer already. But if anyone's interested in the ZBA hearing tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Okay. Carl's gift is ready for delivery. I'm just waiting to see he's around before we drop it off for him, or I will follow up with an email and just say, come on to the DPW whenever it's convenient. So just so you know, we did get everybody's signature and
You mean Mr. Look's surprise gift?
right.
Don't tell him.
Thank you
okay?
again, Mike. Mike, no. And Mike, I did ask that you have your lunenburgonline.com account reinstated. At the same time, I just wanted to check with both Brett and Mike DeVakis whether, I know I sent it to both your personal and your Lunenburg accounts. And it's wise if you were to use the lunenburgonline.com account just for Lunenburg business. Otherwise, if we were ever audited, they would have the power to look at your personal email. So
I would
was-
prefer, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, anybody wants me to take off their personal email, I'm more than happy to. We were doing it to make sure, okay, Brett's off. And I'll check again with Mike. Mike, no, I'll have you're both of them on there until we know you're up and running, and then you can let
Okay.
me know.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
All right. And yep, the meeting time changes. Just, I had to confirm with Heather, we were good. I've let the clerk's office know, cable, PAC, that we will be meeting at 6 p.m. and just, I will update the website. I just need to get to that. And that's all I have.
Couple of things. On the, hold on, I'm just looking at something. Under the members' requests for future town council hours, meetings and subjects, can we throw on there, let's put the, what Brett was talking about, the lettuce company back on there? So just that we can get an update. So we'll throw that on our agenda for a while until, because we are getting into the building season. And I haven't heard anything, so Brett, that's a good question to ask. So I know we still have, I don't even know what happened to it. So we can find out that would be great. So before we go into public comment, I just want to go over our upcoming schedule, what's happening. As we all know, COVID, as far as Massachusetts, the state of emergency is going to be expiring on June 15th, which means that the Massachusetts laws is everything's back to normal like it was before we went into a state of emergency. Now, there may be some modifications along the way, but as you all know, masks are not allowed in some areas. You still got to wear them in medical places and so on. Some stores still require masks. But as far as we're concerned, we're going to be back up and running just like we did before prior to COVID. So our meeting on the 29th is going to be at the Town Hall, second floor. If you have your shots, you don't need to wear a mask. It's not going to be a Zoom combination. It's going to be all live. We are going to be switching up. I talked to Barbara today at the table. I'd like to have Rob sitting up there with Barb, with all of us, because he's part of our team. And Jane, did you ever, I didn't know if you ever went to the town hall. Did you go to the town hall to take meetings?
Yes. she did.
She did, okay. So I still would expect that to happen. Did you do them up on the stage or at the table there? Does it
And
matter?
since she's muted.
At the table.
You did it
At the table on
Yeah,
the floor.
On the floor, yeah.
On the-
So on the 29th, we know Barbara's not going to be there. So good luck for you. Congratulations. I know you're going to a beautiful wedding. But the next meeting will be on June 29th at the town hall at 6 o'clock. The 6 o'clock start time is going to be official. It has been cleared with Heather. And then our next meeting will be on July 13th. That would be at the DPW at 520 Chase Road for the public. Again, we're working our way through it. So Barbara, if you feel uncomfortable, I just want you to be assured we can work this out. I know that's another month away, but some people still have the doubt. I mean, you can still wear a mask, but we can go to a bigger space. I did recommend to Heather today that we can do it in the garage because it is a bigger space. We could also do it at the TCP for a while, but that's not a bigger space. Actually, it's a smaller space unless we do it in the gym. So we'll work that out by the time June 13th comes around. So those are our meeting upcoming schedules. So with that, do we have any public comment from the public? And I'm seeing none. Any public comment from the board? Mike?
Nope.
Brett?
None here, thank you.
Okay, Barb, you have anything?
I do not.
Jane, I just want to thank you for everything you've been doing. I know we're also looking for, it's not an ad yet, as an assistant. That's going to be in the budget, so hopefully we'll have a new member on board during the next quarter coming up. So with that, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
A discussion, all in favor, Mr. Notes,
All right.
Mr. Ramson,
Aye.
and I for myself. Good night, Lunenburg, and Bob and Jane. Thank you guys very much. That was good. I don't know who did that. Go ahead, Brett. Was that a wave, Brett, or your?
No, that was a wave goodbye.
All right, guys.
Good night, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Night all.
Aye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.